Wow. So I got so many amazing things that I want to share with you right now. Things that only only real people, and when I say real, I mean real, that actually exist. Real people will be intrigued by and be interested in the the things I'm going to show you right now. Are things that the majority of the people of the world overlook, and they spend time into looking into other things, but the most important things to look at, they are completely blind to. Well, what I'm going to show you, it'll prove everything that I've been saying. And it's gonna, if you are a real person and you're someone who can do a little investigating, what I'm going to talk about right now, what I'm going to show you, it's gonna more than whet your whistle, your appetite. It's going to send you down a road that's going to lead to truths that will unlock everything for you. In Zechariah 12:8 here, it says, "In that day Yahuwah shall shield the inhabitants of Jerusalem." He shall shield the inhabitants of Jerusalem. That is the truth that you'll come to on that road. But the mind-blowing, eye-opening truths you'll find along the way is going to change everything for you. Everything you thought you knew about reality and the world and our Creator, it's going to change. Look at this post from this guy saying rapture anxiety is real. It is real, isn't it? If we're created in the image and likeness of the Most High, do you think He desires for us to live a life of anxiety and uncertainty? Or does He desire for us to live a life of certainty and assurance? It can be proven that when we obey the instructions of the Most High, we walk with assurance. We walk with certainty. We know where we're headed, who we are, and what our outcome will be. When we deviate from His instructions, that's where the uncertainty comes in. That's where death lies, when we deviate. It says that the Messiah was obedient unto death. Will it be obedience for you to live your life with the hopes of a rapture, which doesn't include you obeying the Most High? It's insanity to think that obedience to the Most High is dead and that we no longer have to obey. It's insanity to think that disobedience is what's going to grant us entry into the kingdom. Look at this article I found. It's just a random article, and the information I'm going to reveal to you, you being an investigator, not the fake, not the posers who don't have any plans on showing themselves approved. No, to you, my truth-seeking friends, to you, this information just in this one article, it's about that road. The enemy knows about the road. They know what's real and what's fake. And it's discussed everywhere, but basically no one is picking up on what they're putting down. A 3,300-year-old tablet found at Buclakale from Hittite Empire describes catastrophic invasion of 4 cities. I'm not going to go through this article, the whole thing. There's just a couple things I want to show you. That a couple of the themes that this is talking about, and it should match up with some of the themes you've probably been seeing now here in the world at the time that we're in. So catastrophic invasions of cities. Down here at the bottom, a translation of the tablet's cuneiform text indicates that the invasion occurred during a Hittite civil war. Civil War. Does that sound familiar? Yes. Based on the typology and distribution of the collected pottery shards, Buclakale is thought to be a single period city. That definitely fits the narrative of today, but the world is unaware of that too. The cuneiform, the text on the cuneiform, on that tablet say, in the Hittite language, that 4 cities, including the capital, Hattusa, are in disaster, while the remaining 64 lines are a prayer in the Hurrian language asking for victory. The picture below, you got the lower city and the upper city. It praises the God and his divine ancestors, and it repeatedly mentions communication problems between the gods and the humans. The tablet seems to come from a period of civil war, which we know about from other Hittite texts. He said, during this time, the Hittite heartland was invaded from many different directions at once, and many cities were temporarily destroyed. A prime example of the real truth being told and the world being blind to the truth that's being told, and instead they scramble and come up with all sorts of theories of what the truth is, but they are completely unaware of the actual truth. This show, Twin Peaks, I just started to watch it. I watched the first episode, the pilot there. If you look into this show, Twin Peaks, you'll see it's like a classic to the peoples. There's all kinds of spin-offs and like websites created to talking about what's really going on. I've showed you YouTube channels and videos where they discuss, where they say, even they'll title their videos what you didn't know about Twin Peaks. You got Twin Peaks all wrong, and you'll watch it, and even those people are completely blind to what the show Twin Peaks is saying. And I do encourage you to go watch this show. It would be nice to get some feedback from some other, fellow investigators out here who want the truth. This show, it's about that road going home, and no one knows it. Not a soul that I know. The creators of this show, they know. And I'm going to show you why that is that they know. But okay, I just watched the first episode, and it starts out with they're in this town of Twin Peaks, and this girl washes up on shore, her body. And so the show's going right now. It's an investigation into who murdered this girl named Laura Palmer. And their only clue as to who killed her and raped and tortured this other girl, and there's a possible third victim. The only clue they have is the first letter of the person's name, which is a J. That should let you know right there. If there's any investigators listening to this, that should let you know right there. That should give you enough to go start watching and reading the plot to this and seeing what's really going on. There's all kinds of truth drops in this show, and I've only watched the first episode. I've read the plot to you guys, and talked about it before, but there's all kinds of stuff going on, and there's things talked about in just the first episode that will give you answers to things you still contemplate. Like, who killed JFK and why did JFK die? You're going to start to see the answer to that, to why that happened. And no, it has nothing to do with what we've all wondered could have happened. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got everything to do with what I'm talking about right now and what I've been talking about. So I went and looked at the guy who wrote that movie. His name's David Lynch. David Lynch, I ain't got a picture of him on here. Here's his friend, his childhood friend, who also made movies, named Jack Fisk, that guy there with the two, on the other side of the two ladies. But this guy here, this Jack Fisk, who is David Lynch, the creator of Twin Peaks, they were friends growing up, and I guarantee you they went to the same clubhouses, if you know what I mean. That guy wrote a movie called Phantom of the Paradise. Phantom of the Paradise. And that next one that's in purple called Eraserhead, David Lynch wrote that. They worked on it together. And they worked on Mulholland Drive together. Here's a movie that just come out at the bottom there, Killers of the Flower Moon. So this is the plot for that movie by Fisk, or Fask, or whatever his name is. Fisk. The Phantom of the Paradise. And look right here. It says, I'm going to have to fix my line here. It says Swan. Oops. Swan believes Winslow's music is perfect to open the paradise. Open the paradise. Sing, sing. And for those of you who do investigate and you've been around for a while, you might remember me reading the plot of The Black Swan. And it's about what I'm talking about. Right down here it says, he sneaks into Swan's private mansion and observes several women rehearsing his music for an audition. One is Phoenix. Boom. Phoenix. That's just a little bit. If you read the whole plot, you'll see exactly what's going on. I just want to show you a few things. Look above Phantom of the Paradise. Look at that movie that guy made, The Tree of Life. Tree of Life. This is from David Lynch's Wikipedia. He says, my childhood was elegant homes, tree-lined streets, the milkman, building backyard forts, droning airplanes, blue skies, picket fences, green grass, cherry trees. Middle America as it's supposed to be. But on the cherry tree, there's this pitch oozing out. Some black, some yellow, and millions of red ants crawling all over it. I discovered that if one looks a little closer at this beautiful world, there are always red ants underneath. Because I grew up in a perfect world, other things were a contrast. A contrast. Here's a movie that this Lynch made called 6 Men Getting Sick 6 Times. Now, if you read in the Wikipedia about this guy and his relationship with that other movie guy, Fisk, you'll see that they had like adventures and they met up and went places together in Europe. If you remember, I read a lot about the Lord of the Rings movies and the guy who made that, who wrote those books. And in some of those articles that I read to you guys, it talked about how him and these other guys, these other famous authors and poets and stuff, would meet up in a secret society. And then after they would meet up, that's where the stories for The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and a bunch of other movies, they came out after that. And you can tell just by what I was reading from the, I can't remember where I read it, but about them meeting, the guy that made Harry, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, when him and his buddies met up in Europe at the secret society, secret clubhouse, after that, all kinds of movies and books came out, and they're all saying the same exact thing. But no one is aware. Not one person. Harry wrote another book titled Garden Back. And there's so much truth into that he's putting in this show, and that's why I advise you to watch it and pay attention to the names, not the story that's being told that you think you're seeing, not a fictional story about the murder of a young teenage girl. No, you gotta pay attention to the names, the numbers, what's being said for real. Like the sheriff in that town of Twin Peaks, his name is Harry S. Truman. And all these people who speculate about what Twin Peaks really means, I've heard them say, several of them, that was just a funny blah, blah, blah that David Lynch did, and because he was laughing and being funny and cute. No, that's not what it was. Harry S. Truman was the president from 1945 until 1951 or 2. Can you guess what happened during those years? Around 1948? Yeah, that's why that guy's named Harry S. Truman. And right at I think it was the end of this first episode, the detective, the investigator, Dale Cooper, who loves cherry pie, he's talking in his little recorder. He's leaving himself or some lady a message, and he says that he still is investigating what happened to John F. Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe. And the average person they just laugh about that and think that it just means nothing. Let me tell you, it means everything to you if you want to live. So after I saw that, I went and typed in the search bar of the Google, what did JFK think of Israel? Kennedy says that Israel has been created in order to exist. And we say that Israel will not continue to exist. Time will judge between us, Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy said that. John F. Kennedy will not exist. Yet within this national obligation of friendship, there is a special obligation on the party of which I am a member. It was President Woodrow Wilson who prophesied with great wisdom a Jewish homeland. You should remember about what we read about Woodrow Wilson and the self-determination. It was Harry Truman who first, my friend Harry Truman, who first recognized, I have only been able to say that since last Saturday, but I'm saying it, who first recognized the status of Israel in world affairs. That's why that sheriff on the show Twin Peaks is named Harry S. Truman. To redeem the people and reclaim the land by restoring them to each other is Israel's deepest aim, linking the present to the pre-exile past. They relive the Bible in its own setting. They wander and they dig, and things become near and real, which had been a myth. They search for water where Moses struck the rock. They go for copper to King Solomon's mines. They rediscover themselves across the chasm of 2,000 years. You've probably heard that JFK, before he died, like the day or the week before he died, he was talking about secret oaths and handshakes and agreements. This is a quote from him right here. Just like David Lynch there in the show Twin Peaks, he was saying enough just to satisfy the people who really wasn't listening to what he said. They heard him say words like Israel and Moses and stuff, and they probably clapped. Oh yes, he's a supporter of Israel. But if you look closely at what is being said here, you'll understand. You'll start to see what it is that got him and his brother killed. JFK. And there's so much to that it's unbelievable. And everything, pretty much all the big events that you've read about in history, World War II, World War I, it's all because of this. It's all because of the hiding, the image of the beast, all those things. The covering of the truth. The message of the word of Yahuwah against Yasharal. Yahuwah stretching out the heavens, the truth, and laying the foundation of the earth. He laid the foundation of the earth with that truth, and forming the spirit of man within him. If you never come to this truth, and you never long to return, you have no spirit within you. See, I am making Jerusalem a cup of reeling to all the people all around. And also against Yehuda, it is in the siege against Jerusalem. And in that day it shall be that I make Jerusalem a very heavy stone for all peoples. All lifting it are severely injured, and all the nations of the earth shall be gathered against it. Now, I know what you're thinking, what the world's thinking. I know what the world is saying about this. They're saying, yeah, see, that's why we're having the war over there in Gaza. Everyone's coming, surrounding Jerusalem. Wrong. Dead wrong. You're dead wrong. You best go back to and do some more investigating. Go back and get your magnifying glass out, and you'll see that you're dead wrong. Is Jerusalem, a heavy stone for all peoples? I know a lot of people who it's not a heavy stone at all to them. Not Jerusalem. I mean, they know who that place is. They know what them people are. They know all the truth they say came from there. They're set in their ways. Their mind is set on all that. No. No one is speaking of the truth of Jerusalem and the humiliation of it. No one is looking, searching her out. And anytime this conversation comes up, and this is going to prove that this is real right here, what I'm about to say. Anytime this conversation comes up, all the people who deny it, which are almost all the people who deny it and refuse to even hear it, who it pisses them off to even hear about it, they try to lift it and say, see, no, that's not, this is what the Bible says. This is where it's at. These are the people. See. But anytime the word is examined, anytime the Bible is opened, we see the bottom of the Nikes. They say things and do things that injures themselves. No one can pick this up and move it out of the way from stumbling on it right now. Anyone who, most people run from it right there. There's your first injury. This is the truth you should be running to, not from. And when the facts are the facts are laid out, or people, me, myself, I attempt to lay the facts out, open the Bible up, we see the bottom of the Nikes. These people are committing suicide. That's the kind of injury they're committing on themselves. And they don't even realize it. And it's all people doing it. All people. Okay, the world of the believers have always said that anyone, that this is talking about those coming against Jerusalem. This says a very heavy stone for all peoples. Are you coming against Jerusalem? You're not, right? I know a lot of people that wear that flag boldly. Trump supporters, Benjamin Netanyahu supporters. They're not coming against Jerusalem. But in reality, they are. They all are. Because everyone's fighting against this truth. Everyone's hiding from this truth. And this truth has been hidden from us in order to destroy us. All the nations of the earth shall be gathered against it. All the nations. Not Jerusalem. They're gathered against this truth. In that day, declares Yahuwah, I strike every horse with bewilderment, and its rider with madness. I guess we could probably rule about half of the Bible believers, quote unquote believers, Christians, whatever you want to call them. They probably figure that this is talking about an actual horse, like the Most High is going to make horses. He's going to strike them with bewilderment and their riders with madness. Okay, so we're not talking to those people, because I don't think there's no getting around getting any of this truth to them. They have ears, but they can't hear. They have eyes, but they refuse to see. The horses are what brings these ideas like rapture and all that. They're the vehicles on which those lies and theories ride. And the preachers, the pastors, are those horsemen. That's why the world, any of those believers, they want to burn somebody with a blowtorch, with a flamethrower, when they hear something Like I'm saying. They're not wanting to hear it. They injure themselves instantly. But for you investigators out there who really want the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, pay attention to this next part. And on the house of Yehuda I open my eyes, but every horse of the peoples I strike with blindness. What that is letting you know is the truth is the why the horses and the riders are struck with bewilderment and madness is because their eyes are closed to the house of Yehuda. They're blind. They can't see this truth because they've been sold lies. And those lies that they've campaigned on for so long, it would be so simple. All they got to do is say, oh, well, I was wrong, and go on to life. But they can't. They injure themselves because they just can't. They can't admit that they've been wrong, that they've been lied to. They want to keep on trucking in that blindness. And once you start to realize that that's what's happening, you'll see how this is the perfect mechanism for the end, for judgment. This is the day of judgment is at hand. Whatever it is that causes someone to refuse this can be chalked up in the category of pride. Anyone who can look into this honestly, well, what they have is humility. And the world lacks humility. And the leaders of Yehuda shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem are a strength to me, through Yahuwah of hosts, their mighty most high. Look at all the truth that I've been revealed since I've been in Jerusalem, that I've relayed to you. Truths that has and will change your world, your reality. Truths that will lead you down a path of absolute rest and peace. Not a guess or a maybe, but an absolute. In that day, and other inhabitants of Jerusalem are people like the Messiah, the prophets, people who actually lived here, who loved their home and their inheritance. In that day I make the elders of Yehuda like a fire pot among trees, and like a torch of fire in the sheaves. And they shall consume all the peoples all around on the right and on the left, and Jerusalem shall dwell again in her own place in Jerusalem. And Yahuwah shall save the tents of Yehuda first. Now, this should cause you to, if you really can think about what's going on here, this might cause you to think of a civil war type situation. And once you get to thinking about that, you'll see how this could all go down. And then it starts confirming the word, and you start seeing that the word is talking about exactly what you're thinking about, how this is going. Let's just run a little hypothetical scenario. That movie Civil War is coming out, here this month or something? And they say in that movie that Texas and California seceded or whatever and went their own way. But as soon as I seen that, I was like, California? No, that don't seem right. Maybe. Texas, yeah, maybe. But the governor, Greg Abbott, who you would probably say, yeah, well, there's going to be a civil war and Texas is going to fight for our freedoms and our borders. But the governor that you're thinking that, associating with all that, is a member of the World Economic Forum. His agenda is Agenda 2030. He's not going to break away from the status quo. But you know what state will? Utah. All their leaders are Mormons. Yeah. And I don't agree with almost anything they say. But there's a couple things I do agree with. But besides that, this state is ran by quote unquote Christians. People who believe that our Creator and His Son is going to set up their throne right here in the valley I'm in. Millions of people believe that. They fought tooth and nail, struggled and scratched and crawled to get out here across the Oregon Trail, all those things. And they did all they did to get here. Why do you think that is? And if you're going to say that I'm supporting Mormons, you're dead wrong too. Do some more investigating, because I was shown this by the Most High long before I even knew what a Mormon was. I actually thought Mormons were like Jehovah's Witnesses. I had no idea when I first met them and started talking to them. And I was baffled. I couldn't believe when I told them that I believed that he was that the real Yerushalayim and Yasharal was in Utah. They couldn't believe it, and I couldn't believe when they said, well, that's where we think New Jerusalem is going to come down out of the sky and set. Isn't that weird? That's that way that these people think that? Kind of makes you wonder, huh? So, if you humor me, and you should, because this is the truth, if Utah were to secede, to excommunicate themselves from the U.S., in which they could. I mean, the state's a state all on its own. There's no bars. There's no gambling. It's lock and key. It's as tight as you can get. It's the closest to being away from farther. It's the farthest away from Babylon you're going to get right now in this life. And now I'm not a Mormon. Just so you know. So we get that straight. And I'll never be a Mormon. I'm David, the son of the Most High, Abba Yahuwah. And I plan to live with him for eternity in his house where he placed his name with the rest of his sons and daughters. That's who I am. So if Utah were to succeed, that would make sense. That in verse 6, that would make sense of him saying, in that day I make the leaders of Yehuda like a fire pot among the trees. Among the trees. Like a torch of fire in the sheaves. They shall consume all the peoples all around. On the right and the left. Not literally, but all the fake, all the BS. They don't care what's going on. As long as they're following the Bible, following their Book of Mormon. That's what they think about. They don't think about what Biden's doing and all this. I'm sure they've got, that people have infiltrated, and you know how it is. I'm not being unrealistic. I'm just drawing and pointing out the similarities here. And Jerusalem shall dwell again in her own place in Jerusalem. Well, where does she dwell at now? Big spoiler alert. It's not Jerusalem. In that day Yahuwah shall shield the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the feeble among them in that day shall be like David, and the house of David like the mighty Most High, like the messenger of Yahuwah before them. And I shall pour out on the house of David and on the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of favor and prayers. Now, if you're an investigator, when you read Revelation and all the Bible, but when you read it, you understand that it's not what the world thinks it's saying. It's not saying what the world has always believed it's saying and still does. It's got nothing to do with what they think it says. And the truth of what it's really saying, they got no idea about. And it is going to destroy them. Revelations 14:1. And I looked and saw a lamb standing on Mount Sion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written upon their foreheads. And you, if you want to know what the 144,000 means, that means it's 12,000 out of every 12 tribes of Yasharal. 12 times 12. So it's Yasharal. It's not the Mennonites and the Baptists and the Mormons and it's Yasharal. And I heard a voice out of the heaven, like the voice of many waters, and like the voice of loud thunder. And I heard the sound of harpists playing their harps. Now, the world thinks, verse 2 is saying that John's saying he heard thunder, he heard voices that sounded like rushing waters, and he heard harps playing. But what really happened there, and what the real reason for verse 2 being written down, is what they don't understand, they don't see, and it's what they need to see. The voice coming out of the heaven, it's the word, the truth, coming from the Bible, the word, and places like Enoch and 2nd Esdras and Acts chapter 29. It sounded like the voice of many waters because the waters is the truth. And like the voice of loud thunder because the voice of the thunder it comes from the throne. It's the Most High whistling for you to return home. And the sound of the harpists playing their harps, that's people at the throne, at home, who love their home. And those people who were of the 144,000 that had Abba's name on their forehead, when they heard the voice out of the heaven, the voice like many waters, the voice of loud thunder, when they heard the harps playing, that's when they sang a renewed song before the throne and before the 4 living creatures and the elders. And no one was able to learn that song except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth. No one could see this truth because they were blinded with the lust and the cares of this world. The song that they sing, it's the renewed song. It's the song of Moses and the Lamb. It's about going home and giving all you have to go there. They are those who are not defiled with women, for they are maidens. The world thinks that that's talking about virgins who have never had sex. They're dead wrong. Go back and do some more research. The women are of the churches, the institutes that have lied to us and denied us of our home and our true purpose and our name. They've lied to us about where it is, and they've convinced us that we don't even need to worry about it anyways. It's defiled the people. But the only ones that won't be defiled are those that are following the Lamb wherever he leads them on, and they're willing because they have humility and they're not prideful. They were redeemed from among men, being first fruits to the Most High and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no falsehood, for they are blameless before the throne of the Most High. So there's never been falsehood in their mouth, or at that time there's no falsehood in their mouth. And the falsehood that he's talking about regards the throne. No, they have no falsehood in their mouth because they are blameless before the throne. They're not worshiping, serving the image of the beast and the dragon. And I saw another messenger flying in mid-heaven, holding the everlasting good news to announce to those dwelling on the earth, even to every nation and tribe and tongue and people. To every tongue. Did the messenger, while he was flying in the sky or space, whatever you guys believe, does he just go and say the good news in every language? Is that how that works? No. This messenger flying in mid-heaven, he's speaking the same words that are in the word, in the book, saying with a loud voice, fear the Most High and give esteem to him, because the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him who made the heaven and the earth and sea and the fountains of water. The angel says that with a loud voice, to fear the Most High and give esteem to him, because that's what the entire Bible says from front to back. And I got news for you, a news flash. The rapture theory, it doesn't have anything to do with fearing and giving all esteem to him. No, that's to yourself. The rapture theory esteems yourself. Yes. All the theories that you can just live wherever you want, not care about your home, and die and you'll end up in paradise, those are theories and ideas that give esteem to yourself. And he says that because the hour of judgment has come, because the word tells us how we would know that the hour of judgment has come. And I've been telling you that the hour of judgment has come. He's judging with the word. And the word tells us to fear and give all esteem to him and return to our home. And it tells us that in the end we would be lied to over our home, and that we would believe it was someplace else. The tale of two lodges, the dance of two armies. And when we do that, when we ignore the truth, the real gospel about fearing the Most High and giving esteem to him, and because we ignored it, we don't understand that the judgment has come. The reason everyone is blinded and in bewilderment right now is because they ain't worshiping, they ain't obeying the one who actually made the heaven and the earth, the sea and the fountains of water. They're obeying and worshiping the dragon who gave his authority to the beast, who tells you they are the ones that made the heaven and the earth and the sea and the fountains of water. And another messenger followed, saying, Babel is fallen that great city, because she has made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her whoring. Jerusalem. You can take it to the bank. That's talking about Jerusalem, about the fake state of Israel. And if I were a president saying this at the podium right now, I would end that speech with, if something happens to me, it wasn't suicide. And a third messenger followed them, saying with a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and his image, and receives his mark upon his forehead or upon his hand, he also shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out undiluted into the cup of his wrath. These people who don't want to do in the adequate amount of investigating, they think that mark is a barcode or a RFID chip. I used to think the same things. But after reading as much word and trusting and esteeming the Most High as much as I have, I realized that he told us, the Most High Yahuwah told us that our rest, that if we keep the Shabbat, not just the Shabbat of weeks, but the Shabbat of years, and if we enter into the rest, a Shabbat also is you coming home, to Jerusalem, the place he placed his name, on the feast days, the appointed times, and that we won't be cut off, and that we be blessed going in and blessed going out. He told us that if we did all that, we would have his seal upon our forehead. And we would know he was our creator, our mighty Most High, and he would know that we are his people. So can you see now the power that the image of the beast and the dragon has wielded over the people? It's marked the world for destruction. And the third messenger followed them, saying with a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and his image, or receives a mark upon his forehead or upon his hand, he's going to receive the wrath of the Most High. And no, see, it's not, he didn't say right hand because he knew that doctors would only want to give you a shot in your right arm. No. When the Most High speaks, you best pay attention, because all words are always necessary. Everything he says is calculated and time precise. And if you don't follow the protocol, you'll receive that wrath. Aight? Plain and simple. And he shall be tortured with fire and sulfur. Fire and sulfur is from the throne, the truth of the throne. Before the set apart messengers and before the Lamb. Is it torturing you if you're still here and you hate this message I'm saying and you think I'm dead wrong, but you ain't got no intentions on showing me how? You ain't got time to open the word up with me and read it like a Berean? It just tortures you, don't it? And the smoke of their torture goes up forever and ever, and they have no rest, day or night. Those worshiping the beast and his image, and if anyone receives the mark of his name. The world believes that Jerusalem is Yerushalayim, don't they? That's that mark of his name. The beast of Israel. But here is the endurance of the set apart ones. Here's the endurance. They guard the commands of the Most High and the belief of the Messiah, Yahusha. Yahusha gave his life to go to Jerusalem at the appointed times. And he knew that that was the desire of the Father, because it's all through his word. Anyone who's claiming the word should be able to agree to that. And the command, that's part of the commands. Going home, doing that which is continual. The feast days, that's a command. He didn't command you to celebrate it and eat it however you want in any other place, the Passover. He commanded you to do it here. He commanded you to celebrate the Feast of Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, to come here and do all these things. But Jerusalem, Israel, has convinced you otherwise, hasn't it? Yes. And I heard a voice out of the heavens saying to me, "Write, blessed are the dead who die in the Master from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, in order that they rest from their labors and their works follow with them." Do some more research if you think that that's talking about people who actually die. No. Blessed are the dead who die to themselves in the Master from now on. Because if you do so, you will find rest. Because you'll go to the place the Most High placed his name. You'll follow the commandments, which will be you following and of the belief of Yahusha, the Messiah. That's why it says, from their labors and their works follow with them. Because you ain't going to come to Jerusalem and because it's your home, you won't come and do what I'm talking about, what I'm asking, pleading everyone to look into doing. You ain't going to do it unless you're doing works, good works. Because the only works that you have, the only wage you have to earn is earned in Jerusalem. When you show up and you are a part of the family. Yeah, is it a work? You know, was it a work for me to get in the car and drive to my in-laws' house for Christmas back in the day? Yeah, I had to get in the car. I had to get dressed. I had to get showered, make sure the kids and everybody was ready. The car cleaned and go, all that stuff, that was works. Well, this work, all you got to do is actually love the Most High, fear him and give all esteem to him, and come home and accept your inheritance. It's a work, but it's not much to ask. And I looked and saw a white cloud, and sitting on the cloud was one like the son of Adam, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another messenger came out of the dwelling place, crying with a loud voice to the one sitting on the cloud, "Send your sickle and reap, because the hour has come for you to reap, because the harvest of the earth is ripe." So a messenger told the one looking like the son of Adam what to do, right? Yeah. And the one sitting on the throne, on the cloud, thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. The earth was reaped. Remember the parable of the fig tree, the vineyard. That he planted a vineyard, and the vineyard that will exist, that will continue to exist, is the vineyard he planted. And if the feast days come around and the world has ignored their true home and where it is, and the commands to go there, and they've continued to live their life according to what the beast has taught them, the image of the beast, they're ripe for the harvest. And another messenger come out of the dwelling place, which is in the heaven, which is in the truth, and he too held a sharp sickle. And another messenger came out from the slaughter place, having authority over the fire, and he cried with a loud cry to him having a sharp sickle, saying, Send your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, because her grapes are ripe. They're ripened. Not only are they refusing to even go look at this, they're fighting against it with great violence and hatred, ridicule, gossip. And the messenger thrust his sickle into the earth and gathered the vine of the earth and threw it into the great winepress of the wrath of the Most High. And the winepress was trodden outside the city, and blood came up out of the winepress to the bridles of the horses for about 1,600 stadia. The horses is what has led you out of rest and pulled you off into blindness. That's why it goes up to the bridles. And just like we read in Zechariah, he said that he would shield the inhabitants of Jerusalem. It says that all throughout the Bible. It's what 2nd Esdras is all about. It's what chapter 29 of Acts is all about. It's what Enoch is all about. That's why they removed him from our Bible. It's all saying the same thing. It's all saying that the winepress is trodden outside the city. And all I can do is do what I'm told. Listen to that voice that comes out of heaven that sounds like many waters. Listen to those harps. Listen to the thunder and the lightning and ride it to safety. And anything other than that is a deviation from obedience. Anything other than obeying the Most High is self-esteem, self-exalting, and worship. Worship of the image, of the beast. Anything other than that leaves you marked for death. Best thing you can do is do like I do and do your best to ride that lightning.